What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in to our weekly live show. We go live every Wednesday, breaking down the latest that we are hearing around your Minnesota Vikings. And man, oh man, do we have a lot to talk about today. The Matthew Stafford trade rumors, whatever you want to call it, speculation, reckless speculation. It is definitely something that we're going to be talking about because we got new reports coming from Ben Gesseling that he is shutting down any of these rumors, but I also have reason to believe that if the Vikings were trying to go get Stafford, they would keep this in-house. But let's start off with this. If you guys want the Minnesota Vikings to catch a win this Thursday night, we can talk about a little more football here. Just hit that thumbs up icon. We're at 8 likes right now. It would be sweet if you guys could help us get to 20 likes. And once you like the video, give me a SKOL down below in the comments section. As we already got Ian in the chat saying DeAndre Hopkins is a Chief. I saw that earlier today. Ian saying Ernest Jones is a Seahawk. Yep, Ernest Jones went to Seattle. We already had some trades go down earlier today. I do have some bad news, but again, still this could happen. But apparently the Titans are not open to trading Jeffrey Simmons. So we'll talk about that here on today's show as well. Shout out to Jacob Lawrence and Mac LeCameron. Mush AK in the building. But guys, I say we just kick it to this. I want you guys to pick a quarterback for me. Matthew Stafford or Sam Darnold. Now, I want everybody to close their eyes here real quick. If you're watching, close your eyes. I want you guys to go to the NFC Championship game. And let's just say the Minnesota Vikings are in Detroit taking on the Lions. Which one of these quarterbacks would you rather have leading a game-winning drive? I understand Sam Darnold has played well this year. I understand he is a pretty damn good quarterback, but this man right here is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL. I think he is the best quarterback in the National Football or in the NFC. He is fantastic. He's got one of the best arm talents I've ever seen in NFL history. He's familiar with the system. I think Justin Jefferson would take his game to another level with a guy like Stafford. And, I'm riding with number 9 over Darnold, but again, if Darnold's our quarterback, it's not like I'm not going to support him or believe that he could take this team very, very far in the playoffs. But if I had to pick one out of these two, I am leaning with Matthew Stafford 100%. He is a significant upgrade over Darnold. Now, if you just look at, this is where I'm kind of getting frustrated with Vikings fans. If you just pop up, Darnold stats for this year versus Stafford stats for this year, yes, Darnold has way better numbers. But this guy right here has had Tutu Atwell be his number 1 receiver since week 1 of the season. He lost Nakua. He lost Kupp. He has not had his plethora of weapons. And if he would be put in this Viking system with the offensive line, with Hockenson coming back, with Aaron Jones, with the 2 receivers, this Vikings offense would go to another level. And everybody needs to understand this. If you look at points per game for the Minnesota Vikings, they are right now 6th in the NFL, averaging 28 points per game. But if you take away the 3 defensive touchdowns that they've had against the Giants, against the Jets, and against the Lions, they are the 13th highest scoring offense in the league. I understand Darnold's play well, but I do think there is another level to this offense, and I think getting an upgrade at the quarterback position is the number 1 way to do so. David saying he's 1 sack away from IR. Listen, guys, I hear you. Stafford has some injury concerns over the last couple of years, and I'm fine rolling out with either of these guys. But if you don't think Stafford is a significant upgrade over Darnold, I think you're crazy, and I'm a huge Darnold guy. I've been telling you guys all offseason he is going to have a career year. But this guy right here, he's a different type of breed. He's a different type of quarterback, and he is a stud here in the NFL. And if the Vikings were to trade for Stafford, everybody's freaking out over the financials because they look at his cap hit for each season. It's 43, 46, 53. The Vikings don't take on that. They take on his base salary plus his game bonuses. It ends up shaking around $25, $30 million over the next 3 seasons. You also have an out of that contract where then it can be fully J.J. McCarthy's team after that. So, I am very, very confident in saying that if the Vikings were to trade for Stafford, that would take this team to a whole nother level. And I'm talking about this team possibly, being the favorite in the NFC. But Roger saying we would have a great quarterback room if we do this. Yeah, no doubt. You had Stafford and J.J. McCarthy. What a better bridge guy than Matthew Stafford. You'd have a chance to go win a Super Bowl and also just a veteran to help J.J. McCarthy more than I think Darnold would. But I don't want me coming out here and saying I would take Stafford over Darnold as me trying to put Darnold down. I just think Stafford's a way better quarterback, and Darnold's play well, but I think this offense would hit another level if it is Stafford in at the quarterback position. So Peyton saying, I agree with Pat. Once Stafford gets some weapons, he will be electric, and he has a lead. Hold on, it just went away from me. And he has a lead, and he has led a team to a Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, Stafford's done it. Stafford is throwing no looks in the game-winning drive against the Bengals in the Super Bowl. EN saying, what would Stafford cost for a trade? I think it would just be a straight-up swap. Like, I think their value on the open market is about the same right now. I think, obviously the Lions had to include the Rams had to include 2 first-round picks plus Goff to go get Stafford in the first place. I think this would just be a straight-up swap, in my opinion. But, again, everybody's got their own opinion. Brian saying, no thanks. I hear you. I go viral saying, dude's living in the past. Stafford's still a great quarterback. He was fantastic last year, and this year he's obviously had a slow start in terms of his production and the numbers, but he hasn't had Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Like he said, Tutu Atwell. But I'll kick it to this. We got some guys asking about other trade targets. If you guys could, just name me a player the Vikings should trade for. I'm still all in on an interior defensive lineman. If I had to pick one, it would probably be that position. As Michael saying, trade for Zach Martin or Brandon Sheriff. I would love either of those two. No doubt, but we'll see, man. We'll see what they try to do. Jeffrey Simmons, we did get a report from a Titans beat reporter that they have no interest in trading Simmons, but they just traded D-Hop. They just traded Dearness Jones. I can maybe see them, moving off him. Michael Owenu from the Pats to replace Ingram. I would like that, but I don't know how much he would cost in a deal. Scott Johnson saying I'm still hooked on a Thielen. Hooked on a Thielen, baby. Thielen, I mean, that would be cool. Like, I think Thielen would be an interesting trade target if, Addison got hurt. But, I just don't know if Thielen would be that much of an upgrade over Jalen Naylor at the wide receiver 3 spot right now. But, yeah, I mean, if I had to pick anybody, it would be Dexter Lawrence. Again, I think that's unlikely. But if you offer him, 2 first-round picks and a future third, maybe that gets it done. You give him an offer that they can't refuse. But, we'll see. We'll see. Joe Thompson saying we need a running back. I disagree on that. But speaking about this game on Thursday night, what is your biggest concern playing the Rams? Because the bookmakers out west, Vegas, has the Vikings favored by only 3 points, which I think is a little lower than what I would have thought heading into this game. I thought maybe it would have been 4.5, 5. But it's a tough spot for the Vikings. You're traveling to Los Angeles on a short week. Rams are getting healthy. They're getting cut back. Nacua has a chance to go. They're also getting some starting offensive linemen back, and they're a very well-coached team. I just concerned about this game, but I still think the Vikings should get a win. I just think it may be a little uglier than Vikings fans are hoping for. But we are going to be getting into a mailbag on the second half of one of our shows today. So if you guys want to get your questions up on screen, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat. And we do this every week. I'll give you guys a chance to get on the MVP football before we get underway on Thursday night. We're just going to do $5. Normally it's $10 to get on the football. But if you guys want to support the show here early, I'll sign your name and you get a chance to win this Thursday night. But there it is. Vikings at Rams, Week 8 MVP. If you guys send in $5, we'll sign your name on there. Or if you guys just want to ask any question around your Minnesota Vikings and guarantee your spot on the mailbag, if you got some thoughts that you want to get off your chest, Super Chat to send in to get in on today's show. Is Garrett Rustborough coming in with a $10 Super Chat. I appreciate you. Garrett will pop that up here in a second, but I'm going to sign your name here first. Shout out to you, Garrett. Appreciate you, man. Shout out to you, man. Okay. Appreciate you, Garrett, coming in. Brian K. saying Lawrence is great in first quarter, but gets gassed in second half. Talking about Dexter Lawrence? I guess with the Vikings, it would be, he wouldn't be asked to do as much as he is on the Giants. Like, he is that whole team. Like, he is probably exerting a lot more energy than he would have to if he would come to the Vikings. But Garrett's saying, I don't see this happening. I think we should focus on the defensive side, a DT or a lockdown cornerback. Question remains, can KOC coach up Sam more, or do you think Sam has reached his full potential? Garrett, awesome super chat. I love this. This is great. So, starting off with the first part. I agree. I want the Vikings to go make a move for a defensive tackle or cornerback if they don't make a move for Stafford. 100%, I agree with you. No doubt on that side of things. Now, the question remains, can KO coach up Sam more, or do you think Sam has reached his full potential? I am not sure on that. I'm assuming Darnold still has a lot more to improve. But again, like, with how special this team is this year, and you got a real chance to make a Super Bowl, like, point gets back to, like, Stafford gives you a better chance. Like, again, like, everybody close your eyes. Like, can you see Sam Darnold hoisting that NFC Championship trophy or the Lombardi trophy? Like, obviously, it's tough to envision it if the Vikings, you know, or since Sam Darnold's never done it, but I don't know, man. It is definitely an interesting conversation, but I think it's no doubt that Stafford would be a significant upgrade over Darnold. No doubt about it, but Cooper is not the same receiver he was in 2021. I agree with you, but also, our Cooper Kupp is a hell of a receiver. Oh my God, don't cop Nick Wright. He's clueless. Who's copping Nick Wright? Nobody's copping Nick Wright. The confetti test has actually started. My friends and I used to talk about it all the time in high school, like 10 years ago. We used to always say, close your eyes, like, can you envision somebody hoisting that Lombardi trophy or, you know, Larry O'Brien? Roger Bong and KJ coming to the Super Chats right now. Roger, I'll sign your name. Same with you, my man KJ. But Roger saying, do you think we have a better chance for a Super Bowl run this year or next year when we have 80+ mil to spend? I would see, Roger, here's the thing here. I would probably agree with you, and I would probably say no doubt next year. But like, other teams in the NFC will get better. Like Jordan Love another year, Caleb Williams another year, Jaden Daniels another year. You don't know what type of moves these guys are making. And clearly this year, you are the second best team in the NFC. Like, there's no doubt. And if you go get Stafford or you go all in at the deadline, like, you could really have a chance to make a Super Bowl this season. Like, I feel like I just say that. People don't really grasp what that means. Like, no, seriously. The Vikings could play in the Super Bowl this season if they go make another move. This is a great question, Roger. Tough. I would probably lean next year. But, again, you don't want to waste an opportunity this season with going through the toughest part of your schedule already. 5-1 in that stretch. You got a bunch of easy games coming forward. They should be able to stack a whole lot of wins. But, Roger, shout out to you, man. I appreciate it. And then KJ coming in, saying, do you think Stafford's actually coming, or are we just stuck waiting? And what about the Darnold trade? Any idea when that's finally going down? Do I think he's actually coming? I would say no. Like, we haven't heard any real reports just yet. But, again, I think if you're the Vikings front office and you are seriously considering trading Darnold, you are keeping that in-house. Like, that is no nonsense. Like, that cannot leave, Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell. Like, I'm sure they keep that under wraps. So, like, Ben Gessling put a report. He's heard nothing about it. I'm sure he hasn't, because I don't know if the Vikings front office would want that to come out there. And also, if the Vikings had no intentions of trading for Stafford, wouldn't Kevin O'Connell or Kwesi come out and say, hey, we heard the speculation, Darnold's our guy, we're riding with him? We haven't heard that just yet. Again, this report came out yesterday. Kevin O'Connell set the talk today, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But, KJ, I appreciate you. Great question. Honestly, all of you guys have been asking great questions today, but this is also, like, reckless speculation, too. But Peyton W. coming in with the first-time Super Chat. I appreciate you, Peyton. Saying, do you think Hockenson will be back this week, and how do you think he will affect / help the offense? Also, this is my first Super Chat, SKOL Vikes. Shout out to you, Peyton. If everybody could, show Peyton some love. First ever Super Chat. Give me a SKOL Peyton down below. Really appreciate you contributing to the contributing to the show. Peyton, shout out to you. Just sign your name real quick, and then I'll talk about what you had to say. Peyton, shout out to you, man. Yeah. Use all these. Do you think Hockenson will be back in this week, and how do you think he will affect to help the offense? Also, my first Super Chat. Hawk will definitely help. I mean, having that safety blanket for Darnold will be huge. I do think Hawk, if he does go this Thursday, it's going to be very limited reps. We talk about minute restrictions here in the NBA. I think that's going to be similar to how they view Hawk this week. But again, Hawk's going to be huge, man. He's a top 5 tight end in the league. Like, I think if he's got one-on-one, you throw him the football. Like, he can make linebackers look silly. He's too big for corners and safeties. and he's too fast for linebackers. Like, Hockenson will have a major, major effect on this offense. We saw it, over the last 2 years when he's in there, just having that safety blanket, having that guy who can turn a 3-yard out into an 8-yard gain. Like, that matters. And, then the Vikings would start replicating what the Niners have done, where you got 2 good receivers, a good running back, a good tight end, a good left tackle. Then it just comes down to the quarterback and the play calling. Like, Hockenson will help that, no doubt about it. But, Peyton, I appreciate you. I'll give you more thoughts on this once we get into our mailbag, but shout out to you. But coming up on today's show, we are going to be discussing the latest trade rumors around the Minnesota Vikings, not just Matthew Stafford. Then we'll be getting into another kind of preview here, talking about the game this Thursday night, tomorrow night actually. Can't wait for that. Then also mailbags, the last call, hashtag Vikings. We already got some super chats rolling, so we'll probably hit those first. So if you guys want to guarantee your spot on the mailbag, super chatting will be the best way to do so. And if you guys are ready to go, hit that thumbs up icon. Once we get to 40 likes, we'll start today's show, talk about Matthew Stafford, and get you guys every report you need on that front. But we're 2 likes away. I'd appreciate it if you guys could hit that thumbs up icon. What's up, Harvey Buxton? In the building. Shout out to you, man. Roger saying, same old Harv, still looking for a 14-3 season, worst case 13-4. Love your optimism, Raj. Love your optimism. Such an optimistic soul over there for Roger. I appreciate you. All righty, but if you guys are ready to go, let's dive into it. We got reports the Vikings could be aggressive at this year's trade deadline, and I want to break it down with you guys because we got a lot to talk about. Stafford, other trade targets. So if you guys are ready to go, let's just dive right into this thing. Let's do it. We got a lot to talk about on today's show. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we are getting multiple reports that have came out that are suggesting that the Vikings could make a big-time move at the NFL trade deadline. And, of course, we're going to talk about the Matthew Stafford rumors. I'm going to break it down, give you guys every report we are hearing, and I'll just give you guys my thoughts on, how likely a deal could happen, and also talk about the impact Stafford could have on this offense. But before we dive into that, got to get the pulse of the fan base on this. Do you guys want the Vikings to make a blockbuster trade? If you do, and this doesn't have to be for Stafford, it could be for a D lineman or also a cornerback, just hit that thumbs up icon. But if you want the Vikings to save their draft capital, please explain your thoughts down below in the comment section. Trying to grab a pulse of the fan base on this one. So let me know your thoughts on the Vikings making a blockbuster trade. So we got a new report coming in from Darren Wolfson, our good old friend up there in Minneapolis, saying that the Vikings are absolutely having discussions about putting that 2025 first-round pick on the table, which left me to believe that a trade could be happening soon. Now, we'll talk about 5 guys here in the second half of today's show that could involve that first-round pick. But first, let's break it down. We got to talk about the Matthew Stafford rumors, and this is coming in from Jack Settleman on Twitter. So he sparked this yesterday. At 12:58, he tweeted this out, saying, sources, the Vikings and Rams are in serious trade talks for Matthew Stafford. Minnesota made a push to trade for Stafford this offseason, but are now revisiting the idea he can be the piece to help them win a Super Bowl. Now, everybody's freaking out. Who is this Jack Settleman guy? Why does he have sources? Well, Settleman, he's got 60K on Twitter. He's CEO and founder of Snapback Sports, and he also does a lot of work for Underdog Fantasy. But then people started tweeting at him like, who the hell is this guy? Why does this guy have sources? Well, actually, NFL legend, Cowboys legend, Dez Bryant tweeted this out, saying facts about people saying this is just reckless speculation. But then he goes, but Jack is credible. Dez Bryant would not just say this. He could have stayed out of this whole situation. But he is saying, Jack Settleman, he's not just going to tweet this out to get clicks. That's not his MO. He already has a ton of followers on Twitter. He's not just saying this just to try to stir controversy. He heard this from somebody, and Dez is agreeing with that. But now we get to this report today. Ben Gessling, this was about an hour ago, saying, checking in on the Matthew Stafford to the Vikings rumors I've been getting asked a lot of questions about. Source said there's zero truth to the idea the Vikings are trying to trade for him. So when I heard this, when I saw this, a lot of people were saying, see, look at that. I was telling all you guys, there's no chance Stafford gets traded to the Vikings. How about this for a thought? Why would the Vikings want this report getting out there? You are about to go take on Matthew Stafford on Thursday Night Football. what a shot in the back for Darnold if you already are getting reports that the Vikings, after a 5-1 start and the best ball, or you're playing the best ball of your career, and they're talking about trading for you. I guarantee you, if this is actually happening, the Vikings are actually trying to trade for Stafford. Again, I have no idea. They would not let that report out of the building. And also, if Kevin O'Connell or Kwesi started to hear about all this, I am 100% positive they would have came out already and said, there's no truth behind this. Darnold's our guy. He's our QB1 for the rest of the year. We haven't heard that just yet. So that's why it leads me to believe that it could be happening. But let's talk more about this. So Jack also tweeted this, quote tweeting his original tweet, saying, meanwhile, the Rams have growing interest in signing Sam Darnold to a long-term deal if this happens. I think this would just be a straight-up swap of Darnold for Stafford. And I want to dive into this because a lot of Vikings fans and even Ben Lieber tweeted it out saying, I don't even know if Stafford would be an upgrade over Darnold. I think that's ludicrous. Stafford has been one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League over the last 15 seasons. Now this year, stats look ugly. If you pull up Darnold's stats next to Stafford's, yeah, they don't look as good. But the thing is with Stafford, he's had Tutu Atwell as his number one receiver this season. They have had countless injuries to their offensive line. I felt like the Rams, they've been able to stay afloat a little bit because of number 9. And you go back to 2021 when he won the Super Bowl. Almost 5,000 yards, 40-plus touchdowns. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And then this is the next thing. How could the Vikings take on his $45 million cap hit? That makes no sense. He's on the books for $53 million. This is just fans not understanding the situation. You would only have to trade and take on his base salary plus game bonuses. So that cap hit that everybody sees on Spotrac, that is not the number the Vikings would be taking on. It would be this number. These numbers are an absolute steal for Matthew Stafford. And this is the graphic I've seen thrown out on Twitter. Oh, look at Darnold compared to Stafford. He's got 9 more touchdowns. He's got the same amount of yards. He has been significantly better than him this season. I think this is a cop-out. I think this is people getting too invested in Darnold. And I love Darnold. I don't want all these thoughts that I'm saying and all these, takes that I have where it comes off as me, dunking on Darnold. No, this is just my love I have for Stafford. And number one, on why it makes sense for the Vikings. Stafford's just better. Like, he will give you a better chance to go win the Super Bowl. And also this. It will give a clear path for J.J. McCarthy to be the franchise quarterback. Because how easy would it be? Stafford finishes out this year. Vikings go on a playoff run. He plays next year. Vikings get out of that contract. And then, bam, J.J. McCarthy's your franchise quarterback. On the other hand, what if Darnold leads the Vikings to a Super Bowl? And then he is a free agent next season. He's going to want some big-time money. Are the Vikings willing to give him a 3-year deal with J.J. McCarthy behind him? And they have already said that J.J. is their franchise quarterback. And also this argument. Oh, he doesn't understand the scheme. Why would we trade for somebody that would throw off the chemistry? It is the same exact scheme that he is running in Los Angeles. If you go side by side, Vikings offense, Rams offense, it's the same exact thing. The same role that Cooper Kupp has is the same exact role that Justin Jefferson has. That gets me to my fourth point on why I would make this move. Justin Jefferson, people are saying, he's having a down year by his standard. He's still 4th in the league in receiving yards. But I think his numbers are a little down this season. And I'm not saying that's all on Darnold. But if you would add Stafford in this offense, we already saw the connection that Stafford had with a guy like Cooper Kupp. I mean, Jefferson would become the best non-quarterback and the most dominant non-quarterback in the National Football League, just like how Kupp was that one year they won the Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp went for over 1,900 yards and won Super Bowl MVP. Number 18 could do that exact same thing. And it gets me to my last point on why I would do it. I want everybody watching right now to close your eyes. Like, seriously, close your eyes right now. I want everybody to imagine it's NFC Championship weekend. It's the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. Vikings are down 24-20. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Close your eyes. If we have Matthew Stafford in at quarterback, you are feeling so much more confident in that group going and winning that game in comparison to Sam Darnold. And I've loved what Darnold has done. But also, That game against the Lions this past week, 3rd and 4, Darnold's rolling out to his right. He's got Jefferson wide open. He airmails that throw. Those are the little things. So even if you think Stafford is just 5% better than Sam Darnold, maybe that 5% is that percent that gets you over the top. So that's my case for it. I'll toss this question your guys' way. Pick a quarterback for me. Living in a little la-la land here, this is all just reckless speculation. I want everybody to type their jersey number down below on the quarterback you want manning this group for the playoffs, for these big-time moments. Let me know your thoughts down below. Pick a quarterback, 14 for Darnold or 9 for Stafford. Now let's move off the Stafford talk, and let's talk about some more realistic trade targets for the Vikings. That will come up here in just a second, but first, got to give a massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, and the deal they have going on right now, if you guys hit that link, prizepicks.com/CLNS, plug in promo code CLNS when you're making your first deposit, you guys will get $50 instantly when you just play one $5 lineup. Best part is you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So sign up today, download the app, and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first dollar lineup. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, run your game. So the number one talked about trade target that I think the Vikings trading for Matthew Stafford is more likely than the Vikings trading for Dexter Lawrence. But again, Vikings fans, wishful thinking that we all have. People are all in on this guy, and I'm all in too. I would give up 2 first-round picks. I would give up 2 first and a third, 2 first and a fifth, whatever it does. I would send the Giants an offer they can't refuse. Now, his stats this year, well, look at it. He has 9 sacks in 7 games from the interior of the defensive line. He is the best defensive player in the league right now. He is great against the run. He's great at pressuring the quarterback. And as we know as Vikings fans, what kills quarterbacks the most? Interior pressure. And this guy was the biggest reason why Kirk Cousins took a check down on 4th and 8. But his contract is actually fairly favorable. If Dexter Lawrence is on your team for $24 million and 25, 27 and 26, and 26 and 27, that's a steal of a deal. I'm taking that in a heartbeat. So I think this is honestly the most unlikely trade target. But again, if the Vikings are going to make a move and they're going to go an all-out blockbuster trade package, Dexter Lawrence is my number 1 trade target. But number 2, Jeffrey Simmons. Now, we are getting reports out of Tennessee today that they are not open to trading Simmons. But again, man, if the Vikings could get their hands on this guy, it would be awesome. I mean, here are his stats from this season in just 5 games played. 17 tackles, 3 TFLs, 1 sack. Years before that, he's always been able to get pressure on the quarterback, and he's always, been able to be great in the run game as well. He can make plays happen. Just a game wrecker out there, man, and he would really open up stuff for Ivan Pace, Blake Cashman. Kind of the same thing as how offensive linemen are to a running back. Same, connection with defensive linemen to the linebackers. I'll be all in on him, but again, this is seeing a lot less likely. But how about a cornerback here? J.C. Horn, former, I think, top 15 pick. I think he might have been a top 10 pick, actually. Son of Joe Horn, famous NFL player. But J.C., man, he's really came onto his own this season. I mean, 7 PBUs, 1 interception. He has allowed 4 touchdowns, but the completion percentage is awesome, man, 48.5. And with the Vikings, not having Gilmore, Murphy, or Shaq Griffin locked up a year after this one, they're going to need to make a move in free agency, so might as well just get it done early. Go trade for a lockdown guy like a J.C. Horn. But number 4 for me, Calais Campbell. I think this would be probably a 5th-round pick that you go get him from Miami, and this would just be a rotational guy. But Calais, even at age 38, Calais is still super, super dominant. I honestly don't know what's more impressive. LeBron playing in his 22nd season at age, 40 by now? Or Calais Campbell playing at age 38, playing defensive lineman in the league. What he does is truly phenomenal. I would love to bring him in. He can get pressure from the interior. He's good against the run. I mean, the TFL numbers and the sack numbers speak for themselves on that one. But how about a little DJ Reed? Now, I think after the Devontae Adams trade, I actually think this makes this a little more likely. And you may be saying, why? Well, the Jets had to give up draft capital to go get Devontae. Maybe the Vikings are saying, hey, we'll give you a first for DJ Reed. We'll give you the 30th, pick in the first round next season. I would love it. I think he is the most underrated cornerback in the National Football League. I honestly think he's better than Sauce Gardner. I think we saw it in that Vikings game. Like, he is truly, truly special, and the numbers don't lie. 87 overall coverage grade, 6.6 overall grade, and he's also good in the run game. And this Vikings cornerback room, like, they could use an upgrade, man. Like, Byron Murphy really struggled. Shaquill Griffin, even Stephon Gilmore really, really struggled against the Lions. Like, they need more talent in that secondary, and DJ Reed would be a phenomenal, phenomenal choice to do just that. But I just gave you guys 6 names. I just need one from you guys. Name a player you want the Vikings to trade for. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. You guys can also give me a follow on Twitter. That's the handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. As always, SKOL Vikes. Alrighty, name a player the Vikings should trade for. Roger going Dex. Landon Dibble saying, Roger, you really think Stafford would be better? I'm curious what you think. If you want my opinion, I think Stafford would be a significant upgrade. I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. And if you would have the best quarterback in the conference, plus a top 5 defense, plus all the weapons the Vikings have, I mean, it would be really, really special for this season. And I don't think it would hinder the future as much as people are talking about. Like, Stafford's contract, the Rams have restructured that twice the last 2 off seasons to make him more tradable. And Stafford's a guy, like, he's proven. Like, he went and won a Super Bowl. Like, he beat Tom Brady. He beat Aaron Rodgers. He beat Joe Burrow. Like, he can go toe-to-toe with all these guys. So, I think Stafford, I think he's a tremendous player. And I really do think he would be an upgrade. And plus, it just, like Rodgers is saying in the live chat, it would give a way clearer path to JJ being your franchise guy. But we're going to get into a mailbag here in about 30 seconds. So if you guys got your last second questions, you're probably going to have to super chat to get on today's show. Already had some questions roll in via super chat. So if you guys want to guarantee your spot, send in a super chat. Let me know your thoughts on either Stafford, the Rams game tomorrow night, whatever it may be. Just let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Hashtag Vikings or super chat. And I say we just dive right into this one, fellas. Rocky in the chat. Yeah, Roger, that's also the thing. I should have mentioned that more. I think Darnold would be a great pickup for the Rams. Like, I think Darnold's proven he can be a top 15-ish quarterback. Like, I think you would, the Rams would get younger. They're already trying to move off Kupp. Like, Diana Rossini reported yesterday, and that was true. Like, that's also the thing that drives me crazy. People are saying, like, no way the Rams would trade Stafford. They're trying to trade Cooper Kupp. Like, they don't believe they can win this season. They are open to getting this deal done. Like, I just don't get it. Scott Johnson in the building. Harvey Buxton saying, is there anyone you would trade away? Keep your eyes out on a Caleb Evans and Brian Asamoah. Not any big-time names that could get dealt, but those are 2 guys defensively that I have heard that could be on the block. Sko Longo saying, are we really doing this? I doubt it, but I think it would be a great move for the Vikings. I think it would be a great move. But if you guys are ready to go, let's dive into it. A little Vikings-Ram preview, and then also a mailbag. Let's get it. The Minnesota Vikings could be in big trouble tonight if this happens. We'll break it down on today's show. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now. My name is Patrick Siepman. Then also on the second half of today's show, a little mailbag. I'll answer questions from all of our loyal fans here on the channel. But before we dive into that, if you guys could, as you guys are seeing this the day of the game, help us reach 39,000 subscribers. We just need 330 more of you guys to hit that sub button. So if you guys haven't already, want to stay up to date around everything around your Minnesota Vikings, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. And if we could hit 39K before kickoff, man, that would be awesome. So hit that sub button, lock us in, and let's dive into it. So the Vikings in trouble if the Lions hangover is real. I've talked about this already. But the Lions hangover is a very, very real thing. So the Lions this season, in their first 4 games, they played the Rams, the Buccaneers, Cardinals, and Seahawks. What did all 4 of these teams do the game after? The Rams in Arizona got smoked, 41-10. The Buccaneers, a very good football team at home, got smoked by the Denver Broncos. The Cardinals, again, against a very good football team in the Washington Commanders, they lost 42-10. And then also the Seattle Seahawks, they lost to the New York Giants at home in a 29-20 loss where realistically that game should have been a blowout. The Lions hangover is a real thing. But again, if the Vikings are a good football team, they should be able to overcome this. But this is going to be a stat that a bunch of like the Colin Cowherds, Nick Wrights, like all these big media heads, they'll start talking about it, especially if the Vikings lose this Thursday. But number 2 for me, why the Vikings lose this game. You can't stop Kupp or Stafford. This is one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos I have ever seen. And anytime I think about this, yes, this was 3 years ago, but I think about that 2021 season that Cooper Kupp had where he, in my opinion, this is the best wide receiver year of all time. 1,900 yards, 13.4 yards per catch, 16 touchdowns, and he won Super Bowl MVP that season. These two have a ridiculous connection. I mean, 2021, Stafford lit it up. And even last year with the Rams having a rough start in 23, he was still able to have 24 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. These two are one of the best duos in the NFL. I don't care that the Rams have started off 2-4. A big reason of that is because Kupp and Nakua were both not in the lineup for majority of those games. But these two, they scare me, man, and they're going to keep me up. They're going to keep me up at night thinking about these two dominating that Flores defense. But again, still got confident in the Vikings getting a victory. But number 3 for me, why did the Vikings lose? Ed Ingram plays. He has been the worst right guard in the National Football League. And year after year after year, the Vikings have a huge gash at the right guard spot. And they don't try to stitch it up. They don't try to go, add a first-round pick or go try to trade, for a great right guard. They just try to put a Band-Aid over an open gash. And check out this stat. Right guard Ed Ingram is allowing more pressures per snap than any other 51 qualified guards in the NFL per Pro Football Focus. He has been terrible. And I hate seeing nonsense on Twitter of Vikings fans thinking that Ed Ingram, he'll turn it around eventually. One of these games, he'll get rid of the inconsistencies in his game. Stop that. Go to this guy right here, Dalton Risner. I understand maybe you're having a little bit of a drop-off in the run-blocking department, but this dude is a significantly better pass blocker. And you know what? I'm actually curious on this real quick. Dalton Risner, pass block grade last season, 67.4. Heading into last week, Ed Ingram had a 29 pass block grade, and I guarantee you, all right, it actually went up after last week. Take that back. But 35.8 pass blocking grade. You have a significant drop-off in the pass protection department with Ingram in the lineup. Then we get to this. Losing the turnover battle. I don't know what it is. Anytime the Vikings tie or lose the turnover battle, they just don't win many games. And the famous chat stats that we always have here, we show it every week in our previews. Unfortunately, we did have to add a little 1 next to that 22-0. But the Vikings are now 22-1 when they win or tie the turnover battle under Kevin O'Connell. Still a great stat. I think that really speaks to how good of a coach he is in the National Football League. But I still have the Vikings getting a victory tonight. My score prediction is 20-17. But you guys can also let me know who you got. Give me a V for the Vikings or give me an R for the Rams. I know it says V, but give me an R for the Rams if you think the Rams are going to win, or give me a V for the Vikings. Coming up next here on the show, we're going to answer questions from all of our loyal subscribers here on the channel. But first, I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. If you guys download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first dollar lineup, or your first $5 lineup, excuse me. But PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, PrizePicks is the best way to add more juice to whatever football or basketball game you are watching. Anytime I'm watching any big-time sporting event, I am throwing some cash down on PrizePicks, and it makes the viewing experience that much more entertaining. So sign up today, get $50 instantly when you use promo code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS. And after you put your first $5 lineup, they will give you guys $50 instantly. But shout out to PrizePicks, run your game. Garrett Russborough coming in, $10 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Saying, I don't see this happening. Talking about the Stafford trade. I think we focus on the defensive side, a DT or a lockdown corner. Question remains, can KO coach up Sam more, or do you think Sam has reached his full potential? Great thought right here from Garrett, loyal subscriber, one of the best football minds we have here on the channel. But I agree with you on the Stafford thing. I don't think it's going to happen. If I had to pick one, trade for Jeffrey Simmons or Matthew Stafford, I'm honestly probably going Stafford, but like a DT or a lockdown corner, I'm probably going defensive tackle over corner. But again, great point here. Question remains, can KO coach up Sam more, or do you think Sam has reached his full potential? I think we're right there. I think he can coach him up a little more, but I don't want fans thinking like as this season goes on, he is just going to get incrementally better. I think that could happen, but I don't think he's ever going to reach the level of a Matthew Stafford, even as good as he can get. I mean, Stafford was the number 1 player in his class, number 1 pick. Like, he's won a Super Bowl. He was awesome with the Lions. He's been awesome with the Rams. Like, anywhere he goes, he's the best quarterback in the NFC, and he is the best quarterback in the NFC right now. But, Garrett, I appreciate you. Roger saying, do you think we have a better chance for a Super Bowl run this year or next year when we have $80+ million to spend? Another great question coming in from one of our loyal subscribers here. Roger, tough one here. I would probably say next year because you're going to add more talent to this roster. But also, Raj, people talk about the $80 million. You don't have a cornerback on this roster next season. Like, Cam Bynum wants an extension. Like, I don't think people are understanding that this $80 million, a lot of it is going to go to corners, to extensions. Like, yes, they could still go bring in a big-time player, but it's not as much as people think. And plus, talking about this year, I wouldn't want to waste a 5-1 start. Like, I think people undervalue that. Like, the Vikings have already gone through the toughest part of the schedule. You have a chance to control home field through the NFC playoffs, and then let's just say the Vikings, rip off another 6 straight wins, and they're 11-1, and then that Week 18 game comes down to the division, and you win that game, then you're thinking about the Vikings. You just got to win 2 home playoff games, and then you're in the Super Bowl. So I would say this year, but if you have an argument for next year, I don't disagree at all. KJ coming in, do you think Stafford's actually coming, or are we just stuck waiting? And what about the Darnold trade? Any idea when that's finally going down? So I don't think this trade is going to happen. I'll put that out there. I think it's very unlikely, but it does make sense. The Rams are not in a win-now mode. They've already made Cooper Kupp available from Diana Rossini, that they're actually calling teams. Teams aren't calling them. They're being active in shopping him. So I think the Rams understand, might as well blow it up this season, get some draft capital, get younger at quarterback with Darnold. I don't think he's actually coming, but if he were to and we get that notification, the Vikings are trading for Stafford, I would be thrilled. And could you imagine, everybody, NFC Championship weekend, let's just say the Vikings are on the road in Detroit. Could you imagine Matthew Stafford holding the Lions back from reaching the Super Bowl? It would be awesome. But KJ, I appreciate you. Peyton Dub coming in saying, do you think Hockenson will be back this week? And how do you think he will affect/help the offense? Also, this is my first Super Chat. SKOL Vikes. Shout out to you, Peyton. I do think Hawk will be back this week. All the reports are indicating that. However, I don't know if he will be playing the amount of snaps as he normally would. I do think Hawk, they're going to be very patient with him. Kevin O'Connell in every press conference, he always talks about there's a long football season. We got a lot of football left to be played. And I think, O'Connell loves Johnny Munt. He's going to give him some run. So I would probably say he's going to be limited. You know how we say, minute restriction in the NBA. He's probably going to be on a snap count this week against the Rams. But I fully expect him to play. And then hopefully he's 110% for the Colts game next Sunday night. Roger saying my first move would be for Dex and second MS, but I really don't think either will happen. What do you think is the most likely pickup? I honestly think Matthew Stafford. Also, shout out to you, Roger, $5 super chat. I think Stafford's a lot more likely than Dexter Lawrence. I mean, clearly the Lions view him as a complete kind of cornerstone blue chip piece for this team moving forward. So I'm going to say Stafford's more likely, but I'm also with you. I don't think either of these will happen. But, hey, Stafford, man, Dexter Lawrence, we'll be throwing a party here on the channel if that's the case. But Purple and Gold Bars coming in saying hashtag Vikings, between Dex and Simmons, who would be a better fit for cap space? They're about even. Their contracts match up pretty well. But, in terms of who's a better fit with the team, I'm going to go Dexter Lawrence. He's just a better player right now. I mean, he has 9 sacks on the season. He's leading the league in sacks. He has been awesome to start this year. But, yeah, I would go Dexter Lawrence. He also fits the cap space a little more. And also the timeline of his contract kind of fits the Vikings timeline a little bit better. Again, not a lot, but just a tad better than Jeffrey Simmons. But, again, they have about the same, cap hit. But M. Max saying, would you trade Addison and picks to a top-notch defensive player? M. Mac, thank you so much. This is actually something I want to talk about. I'll probably talk about it a little more next week. of the Vikings trading Addison. I don't think the Vikings are too thrilled with the performance they've gotten from number 3 this season. And plus, with all the off-the-field issues, like, I could really see Addison getting dealt. I would honestly do that. Like, if it took Addison and a first to go get Dexter Lawrence, sign me up. But again, the Giants probably don't have too much of a need for Addison with Neighbors, Wandell, and, they actually have a decent wide receiver room. But, Mac, I appreciate that. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the show later on. But last question coming in from Landon Dibble. Patrick, you think we have a chance at winning against the Rams? We had a good game against the Lions. They were just a bit better. I think we have a good season with this lineup. Yeah, no doubt we have a good chance to beat the Rams. But again, we talked about the Lions hangover. Like, is that a real thing? Rams are getting healthy. Like, pretty much point being, Landon, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I don't want Vikings fans just looking at the 2-4 record and thinking the Rams are a bad team. They're not. Like, they're a significantly better team, in my opinion, than like the New York Jets. Plus, you're traveling on a short week to Los Angeles. There's a reason this spread is only 3.5 points for a team who's 5-1 compared to a team who is, 2-4. But definitely worried about this game. But I got the Vikes winning 20-17. If you guys made it to the end of today's show, give me a SKOL down below. We will also be going live an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff tonight. So make sure you guys do tune in. Appreciate all of you guys for watching. If you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter, that's the handle right there, at Pat Siebes. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. As always, SKOL Vikes. Shout out to you guys in the building. We are going to sign off here. We will be live tomorrow, about an hour and 15 minutes before kickoff. So if you guys want to tune in then, I would really appreciate it. But Joseph, Roger, M-Mac, Tang, Scott, Nathan, Bard, Tom Miles, all you guys, appreciate you, being in the building. Raj, I'll see you tomorrow night, no doubt about it. Thank you guys for tuning in. A lot to talk about on today's show. But yeah, that's going to do it. We'll see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes.